Everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSI DFS Fantasy NASCAR Picks. I'm your host, Mike Ruler 31. Can be a quick video because the program I'm used to record this keeps on crashing, so I want to try to get through as fast as I can. 90 laps here, Watkins Glen. Xfinity race was an absolute mess. The two cars that I had as prime plays were up there towards the end and then got wrecked out. Some of the value guys got wrecked out early, so I ended up winning. Didn't end up winning $1. I ended up not losing $1. So on to this race. Last week was kind of boring. Really couldn't pass. Really couldn't, do much here. There should be more passing here. It should be a higher speed road course, more like Coda than anything. Playoffs, get two more races. Mathematically, if you won both stages and finished second, you could get 59 points. So if like the other drivers finished last, they'd only get 1 point. So I think 116 is where the cutoff is. So Austin Cindric could still technically make it in, but it's highly unlikely. I think the only person that really has a chance to potentially point their way in would be Daniel Suarez, if and maybe Ty Gibbs if Bubba Wallace, who's the last place that's open for points, has a bad race. The rest of them are all locked in, especially one less place is gone with Mike Miles' win last week. So practice and qualifying were good. All the conditions were equal, so we don't have that like skewed data with Group A, Group B this week. So let's just jump right into it. Denny Hamlin starting on the pole. I think he'll be chalky here. His practice speed was okay. It wasn't great. I like the price point on him, and I think you can play him in cash. Again, you probably don't want a ton of people here on DK and FanDuel. You do want to stick to the top 10, but I think you need a couple dominators up here because, as we saw, like the cars tend to break away, like some of the first ones, and it's kind of hard, even like with pit strategy and stuff, to catch up to them. And there's no more cautions at the stage breaks anymore because the race is so short with so few laps with only 90. That I think Hamlin's in a good spot here. But I really like William Byron more than him here. I think you get by him. His pit crew has been phenomenal. He's been good on road courses here. He got early damage in one of them, but the other ones he's been pretty dominant. So practice speed 3, long run speed #1. So definitely like him in cash. McDowell is really priced up after his win here. I think he's a good play on FanDuel, but I don't think I'd really touch on DK other than a GPP. Gibbs was an amazing car in Xfinity, and it's lesser competition there, even though there are a couple Cup guys there. He did look not great in practice, qualified really well here. He's going for the win to try to get into the playoffs, got a great pit crew. So I think he's good in a GPP, but I think he's dangerous for cash because he could definitely fall back a little bit and lose you some points. Larson is GPP here. He's got the speed to win this race. Second in long run speed, but he tends to find trouble. He's a really good road course racer, but at 10-8, I think I'm going to probably be the first guy in my GPP. Allmendinger, this car was much better than the car he had last week. I think definitely #1 in practice speed. He wasn't top 6 in fall off, but I'm fine with that. I think he's definitely one at 93 that you could potentially pair with Hamlin or Byron to start your build. Christopher Bell, again, he's a GPP. He's great at road courses, but they can't put a full race together. His pit crew has been detrimental to him all season long, so I can't trust him in cash, but definitely could win this race also. Tyler Reddick, I think, has had the speed, looked good at road courses this season. They've really seemed to nail the setup. Really picks his way through and works his way up. So again, I think if you don't pair Allmendinger with Hamlin or Byron, if you just want to start down here with like Allmendinger and Reddick, I think that's good too. So I think you need at least 2 guys in the top 10 here in cash, and those are the 4 options to go with. I wouldn't go with Hamlin and Byron, but maybe. I mean, if they break away and dominate the whole race, then that works. But I think I'd rather take Allmendinger or Reddick, thinking that there's some place differential and they eventually get up there and be in the mix. Kyle Busch, the GPP, again, he's been good on road courses and stuff. Same thing as like Larson. Like there's definitely a nice price break of $1,000 from Larson, but he does end up getting into trouble and speeding on pit road and getting penalties and things like that. So he's kind of a mix of Larson and Bell's luck. So that's why he's a GPP. Corey LaJoie, second in practice, top 10 qualifying. Good for you. Good on road courses, or getting better on road courses, but I just don't think it's sustainable here. So he's got to be a fade. He's going to definitely drop him back. Joey Logano, so hard to get right here. 18th in speed, which is concerning. It doesn't do good in dirty air, but I mean, this isn't really a drafting track, but I don't know. He's one whose pit crew could call something, stretch out fuel mileage, do something phenomenal to put him in a position to win this race, or he's going to struggle. So that's why he's a GPP. So maybe the perfect start to your lineup would be Larson, Bell, and Logano, because they're all super variable and they're either going to be a grand slam or the golden sombrero. If you follow baseball, you know exactly what I mean. Bubba Wallace is starting too far forward here. He's gotten better on road courses, but it practice is 14th. I really think, he's going to play it safe. He's above the cut line. So if nobody else wins, or then they're going to have to point their way in. And I think Bubba is going to be racing for stage points and not necessarily for the win. I think he's going to try to race a clean race and not lose because especially Daytona being a wild card next week. And he's good at plate track. So I think he plays this very conservative. So there's not enough upside here. On DK and FanDuel, I think he's fine to play. Busher, still a little overpriced after his couple of wins. He's been good on road courses, kind of sneaky good. So I think you can consider him in cash. Also, with some place differential there. Suarez had no speed in practice. He's been up and down speed-wise, so GPP. Chase Elliott going to put a prime here. He looked really good in practice. He was pretty fast. Even though he wasn't top 6 and fall off, he was good there too. I think he just, on the qualifying lap, just kind of pushed it too much and made some mistakes and lost some momentum in the corners. But I think he's the one that really needs the win to get in here. He's always been a really good road course. And if you're a conspiracy nut, then you think that NASCAR, he's been the golden boy for them for, besides like having to suspend him and having all the issues early on with the tech stuff that Hendricks got penalized for. I think that they will try to find a way to get him in the playoffs. I don't think, but I read that, it makes sense, but I don't think that's the case. But I think he will definitely set himself up to be up there in contention. This is the best chance for him for this. So I think he's definitely a prime play here. And that's why DK priced him that way. Austin Dillon, I think you can play him in cash here at 6,300. I think he can kind of hold a top 20. Even though he hasn't been great, I think he can hang in there and be okay. Alex Cindric better, but you're paying almost over 2,000 more for him. Here, he has got a lot of work to do and mathematically probably just needs to win. I don't think it would just take a miracle for him to be able to point his way in at this point. So I think you can play him in cash. I think there's a lot of upside for him there at floor. And Bowman, I think also he's been fast on road courses here. Didn't love the practice speed, but I think that he could definitely get up to the top 10. A decent pit crew. I think he'll be highly owned. Truex also, I think, will be very chalky. Just hard to play his price tag, but definitely been fast on road courses. Didn't look great in practice here, but maybe they figure out through the course of the race. Usually has good long run speed, knows what he's doing, patient. So I think he could definitely get up into the top 10 and have 10 place differential points also. Justin Haley, I think, is okay in cash here. I toyed with him being a prime play, but he just hasn't, since he's like kind of said he was leaving. I don't know. We don't know if it's his decision or it just doesn't seem he has resources behind him to put together great finishes. So he's a cash play, but I can't make him a prime. Rockenfeller, definitely got to keep an eye on this guy, even though the car is not great. The legacy one, he put down some decent practice laps and qualified okay. He's got a cheap price, and if he can stay in the top 20, maybe even make up to the top 15, he could absolutely smash. So great GPP play, I think. Ross Chastain, GPP, he ran the Xfinity race to get some more practice here. Just hasn't had the speed on road courses, really struggled. So I think it's survive and advance to next week. But I think I'll have high ownership just based on his name and what he did last year. I think people are still looking at that, thinking that he's going to click at some point. And I don't necessarily think this is going to be the week, but if play him in GPP and find out. Ryan Blaney, you put a prime here. I think he's be highly owned. His practice speed was not great, but he has been solid at road courses. I think that that's really not an indication. I think he can definitely work his way up. His price is nice at 7,500. I think he's a solid driver and be able to work his way up into a good position. Brad Keselowski here is GPP. He's hasn't had a lot of speed on road courses either, too much this season. Just kind of goes out there and does what he needs to do to be able to survive for the next week. Actually, Blaney's practice speed is wrong. He was 17th. I don't know how. Jupkin 35 must have put him in the wrong spot. 35 was actually Kevin Harvick. So, oh, that's results. Never mind. But so, yeah, Keselowski not interested. Gillian, I mean, you would think with Michael McDowell and all the success here that it would kind of translate a little bit more to the team, but it just hasn't. So I just, yeah, Bellini was 17th, so I don't know what happened with the practice. I apologize for that. So Gillian's a no. Briscoe definitely, has some upside. Also, even though like all these Fords have been slow, he's been one of the better ones when it comes to that. Let me just, because Keselowski was 33. So, and so who was 35? 35. Sorry. Okay. I'm so sorry about the practicing. So, Almirola has just been slow on road courses, so I'm gonna give him a fade. Ricky Stenhouse, he hasn't been great, but he hasn't been bad. He's just been so like neutral and just like blue collar lunchbox, go out there, get the job done. So I think he's definitely a solid cash play here at 5,900. Lolly's a fade. I just don't trust the equipment. Ryan Preece is a GPP here. I think he can kind of hold his own. He's not. He's probably one of the better of the worst drivers. Eric Jones, I think you can play in cash here. He just again hasn't had the speed in practice in qualifying this year, but like he's good on road courses, not like to get the blue to be like super proficient, but I think he's does okay. I mean, I like Stenhouse for like 600 less, but he gives you a little bit more place differential here. So I think he's in playing cash. Harrison Burton usually is a fade, but he's starting so far back here, and he's been okay on these road courses. So I'll give him a GPP. Kevin Harvick, I'm going to give the prime here. He was 20. That one might be off here. Yeah, Harvick was 35th in practice, but still, he had the 6 in long run speed on, and I'm sure on that one. So I really think that he is not this bad. He's got a lot of experience on road courses, so definitely can work his way up. And 7,600, like I like the place differential, so that's probably what happened. It probably switched accidentally in practice, Blaney and Harvick, because they're $100 away in price point. So I apologize for that. But Harvick is a prime play here. Custer, Blicky, and Dillon, I think they're GPPs. Like, I don't love their equipment. I don't They're okay at road courses, especially Custer is really good at Xfinity. Blicky teaches people how to drive on road courses, and Ty Dillon can go no place. I mean, he automatically starts with a 4 and can only go upwards. So I think the general strategy here is, like I said, I'm looking for 2 guys in the top 10, and then I'm probably going to hammer this mid-range right here, and then pick one of these value plays plus Harvick as a prime. And that's how I'm going to build my cash lineup for GPP. Like I said, I'm looking at guys like Larson, Bell, maybe Logano, maybe Gibbs. Just trying to look at those like guys up in the top 10 that have been so erratic that if they're boom or bust, if this is the boom week, then that definitely helps. So that's what I got for you. If you have questions, you can always leave them in the chat below. Hit me up at Megaro31 on Twitter. And if these videos help you, you help us by watching every single week. We get over 1,000 views, which has just been phenomenal. So I super appreciate that. But if you want to go the extra mile, like the video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and share with your friends so we can continue to grow this. And I just, again, really appreciate it. So good luck in your contest. Hope you're having a great weekend. If you're in the West Coast, my thoughts and prayers are with you with all the rain that's coming. So especially in Southern California. So be safe out there. I've been through some floods before in my area, and I know it's no fun and very, very stressful and very frustrating. So thinking of all you out there. So again, if you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. And hopefully this race is a little bit more exciting than last week's and not as bad at the end as Xfinity. And we'll all have a good Sunday. So until then, I'll see you next time.